Hey everybody, it's me, Mrs. Boots, and this is English Language Arts A10. Today we're going to talk about note-taking strategies. So, as you continue to do some research for your essay, is it enough to just find some good information, copy and paste it into a collection of resources, and then throw it into your essay? I mean, maybe that's fine and all, but is it the most effective way to really know your topic? I'll give you a hint. The answer is probably not. So let's talk about a few things that might help you take more efficient notes and better synthesize the information you're learning. There's a lot of different note-taking systems and methods, and at this point, you're in grade 10, you might have one that works best for you and your learning style, and that's great, and you should keep using it. Some people like the Cornell method of note taking. They think it's very popular, and that is a great note taking system because it allows you to reread and analyze your notes, which is really important. Maybe you're a visualizer, and so maybe sketchnoting is the way for you. Or maybe you like note cards, or if you're like me, you find efficiency in a digital document, and that can also come in a variety of forms. But whatever note taking system you use, your system should allow you to have the following things: information about the source so you can find it again. You'll want to write down the author, title, date, published, the publisher, and the URL if it's a website. Write it down. Then you don't have to go back and reread pages of a source looking for something or comb through a bunch of bookmarks or your browser history just to find a source again. If you write it down as soon as you find it, then you don't have to do so much searching. And then when it comes to your works cited, it's all there and it's ready for you to go. Your note-taking system should also allow you to have a way to group your notes. You'll want to be able to label them or color code them or organize your notes in a way that you can arrange them in the best way that makes sense for you and for your topic. And that can come in a whole bunch of different forms. You should also make sure that your system allows you to have space for you to write down quotations, like direct text straight from the source, as well as comments, your thoughts and questions, and summaries as well. So, information that from the text in your own words. Now, if you're like me and you use a lot of digital note taking strategies, you can use the comment feature in Google Docs for any annotations or thoughts and questions that you have while you're restudying your notes. But if you're using a paper system, then make sure you do leave space for all of those extra thoughts. Whatever method you choose, make sure you are able to have those three things in your note-taking system. There's also a few more things that you need to consider. I used to be like this, and I know a lot of students that do this when they're taking notes. They either select a whole bunch of text and copy and paste it into their note-taking system, or they write everything down. And that's not very efficient, and it's not a very good way to learn anything about your topic. You're going to overwhelm your brain, and when you go back to look at it, it's just going to be a whole bunch of text that you're going to want to just shut that book and not look at it again. So here's a couple of tips and suggestions for when you are taking notes, whether it's digital or by hand. You need to keep some of these things in mind, and these will help you speed up your process. So, um, the only time you should be copying something in its exact words from a text is if you think you're going to use it as an exact quotation in your essay. Maybe it's memorably phrased or uniquely expressed. Then go ahead, select it, copy it, paste it, write it down. Make sure that you document where it came from and the source so that when you cite that later, it's already there for you. You don't have to search for it. Otherwise, compress ideas into your own words. And I'm talking about summarizing here. When we talk about paraphrasing, we're talking about rewording something almost word for word, but just like a little bit more your own words or your own vocabulary. And paraphrasing word by word is a huge waste of your time. Choose the most important ideas and write them down as labels or headings, and then fill in with a few subpoints that explain or exemplify. For print sources, don't depend on underlining and highlighting. Find your own words for notes in the margins or on sticky notes if you don't want to mark up your book. Doing these things can not only save you time, but they actually help you understand your topic better because you're taking it, absorbing it, and then putting it back out onto paper in your own words. And that's really important. Why is that important? Well, remember that an essay needs to be an expression of your own thinking and not a collage of borrowed ideas that you just pasted together and you hope for the best. An essay that is so overwhelmed with quotations and paraphrased information just shows me that you're good at stitching information together like a patchwork quilt. And I know this because I got lectured on this very thing when I was a university student. I wrote an essay for my medieval literature course that was just basically 80% quotations and citations of other works. And I ended up with a mark of 50%, which was really, really awful for me. And I took that and carried that around with me as a kind of a deep shame for my own personal standards. And my professor said it was clear that I had done a lot of reading on the subject, but there wasn't a lot of evidence of my own thinking on the topic. It stung, and it was also a significant moment in my writing practice, and I didn't want to fail myself again. So for my next essay, I was very careful in the resources that I used. So I only had a handful of them, but they were carefully selected resources that I used and cited in my essay. But a majority of the essay was more of my thinking and understanding, and I ended up with an 86% on that one, which is pretty good by university standards, I think. So think about that for your own writing. If you can synthesize the information and express it in your own voice alongside your thoughts on the subject, then I know you really know your topic. So as you research, focus your time on really learning your topic and integrating it into your own thinking. You should be able to express the information you learn in your own words. Here's a few more things to keep in mind when you're looking for information. Skim your entire source before you read it in detail. Skimming will help you understand how the document is laid out and what the main ideas are. Search for the subject headings in the material you're reading and write them out in your notes. This will help you find relevant information faster, and they'll also provide you with reference points when you review your notes later. Write down every fact or note that may be of use to you in your paper, but don't write down things you already know or you would never include in your finished work. Why would you do that to yourself? Break down the text into small groups of paragraphs, especially if it's a longer one. Read each group one by one, taking notes in between groups. Breaking up the text into smaller, bite-sized pieces will help you process the information. If a source is too dense or has too many dates or don't feel like you need to write down every bit of information down. Again, as I said, condense the notes, make note of where the dense parts are, and move on. And depending on your topic, you might want to split up your notes into different categories. So if you're doing more mythical things or unexplainable things. If you're looking at Atlantis, for example, maybe you want to split your notes up into facts, theories, and opinions. These tips can help you be more effective and more efficient in learning your topic so that you can get the research part done and get to writing your essay. So, okay, by the end of this, if you're like, okay, great, Mrs. Boots, but I think I'm all set, then super. Off you go with your note-taking system and your knowledge gathering. But if you're not satisfied with your note-taking method, or you think it could be improved, or you've never really thought about a note-taking method before, then keep these tips in mind. You can also check out some of the video links that I'll share with you alongside this video. They're videos of people explaining different note-taking systems and methods. And while many of them use traditional pen and paper, I think you could easily adapt them to the digital realm if you chose so. I personally love learning about how other people gather and organize information, but maybe that's just because I'm like weird and I get nerdy about stuff like that. One thing I think you'll notice is how many of these people go back and reread and analyze their notes. That's a key for synthesizing the information. In our class, we practiced annotations, and that was kind of a stepping stone into getting you to this point. So I hope that you can use that along with these tips so that when you go back and reread your notes, it's easy to find information, it's well organized, and you don't get overwhelmed. That's it for this lesson. I hope you're having lots of fun learning about your topic. Again, if you ever need help or assistance, you can always send me an email or show up to my office hours, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day.